If your dog does end up getting kennel cough, you will want to make sure that you use Koba. What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel, or hello if you are new here. My name is Rachel and I am a golden retriever mom of 2, and today we are going to be talking about kennel cough. The reason that I'm going to be talking about this today is because one of my dogs actually just recently got kennel cough. It was my first time experiencing it and going through it, so I wanted to share our experience with all of you in order to help you understand it better, know what to look for, how to prevent it, what to do if unfortunately it does happen. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started, I am not a veterinary professional in any way, shape, or form. This is not professional advice. I am just simply sharing my own personal experience of what I have learned along the way. So what even is kennel cough? If you are not familiar with kennel cough, it is a respiratory infection, or otherwise known as infectious tracheal bronchitis. It is one of the most common infectious diseases that is found in dogs. So it is caused by a cocktail of different bacteria and viruses, and it causes your dog to cough for potentially several weeks. It is super contagious and it spreads very quickly. So kennel cough can be from exposure to other dogs, whether you are at daycare, boarding them, at a dog park, you're at a friend's house with someone who has a dog, you're at a store, you're traveling, anywhere where there might be other dogs, you can easily develop kennel cough just by being around them. So when you're around other dogs, you always want to make sure that you are avoiding sharing toys, you're avoiding sharing food and water. I like taking my dogs to the dog park just for socialization, just so they have somewhere to run and play and see other dogs in a confined area, but I'm very against the girls ever sharing their water with any other dogs. I always bring my own water dish. I always bring my own water, again for the same reason. So unlike dogs who are usually just house dogs who don't particularly leave the house much, they don't really get a lot of exposure to it. It's just kind of like the same thing with kids at a daycare. Things spread very fast at a daycare, just like they can, unfortunately, with dogs as well. Thankfully, it is not normally anything to be super concerned about. It's not anything that usually causes a big issue for your dog, but sometimes, unfortunately, it can lead to pneumonia or even death. Usually, if your dog is otherwise very healthy, then they shouldn't have any major problems while having kennel cough. So how do you even know if your dog has kennel cough? You want to look out for any forceful coughing, kind of like a hacking noise. It kind of sounds like they're gagging on something, like something's caught in their throat, it's dry, they're trying to hack something up. It might sound like honking, it might seem spasmodic, they might have some white foamy discharge. You also may notice that they have a runny nose, they might have a fever, they may act lethargic, they might have conjunctivitis, they might even be sneezing a lot. In my experience, I first noticed the hacking, the coughing, and Larcy would just do it randomly out of nowhere, and then she would go back to running around and playing like normal. So Larcy is my 2-year-old golden retriever. She had just turned 2 weeks before she had contracted kennel cough. The first time I noticed it, I was very freaked out because I thought that she was choking. I was very concerned, I was very upset about it, and I'll include the videos of the first time that I noticed it. You okay, babe? What's wrong? Sweetie, breathe. What's wrong, baby? Then the second video that I will include of her is actually the next night. She woke up 7 times in an 8-hour sleeping span, constantly doing this noise right here that you're about to hear. Hi, are you okay? That's when I started to get really concerned, and I called the vet right away the next morning before they opened and let them know what was going on, and I sent them videos of her making that sound and just asked them what I should do, what's going on, and that's how we ended up finding out that it was kennel cough. Once the vet called me back, they asked me a couple more questions about had she been around any other dogs, had she been exposed to anyone else, and in the whole month of December, the only time that Larcy had been around any other dogs was when we went to a Christmas party at a pet store. So that has to be the time that she was exposed to it. Because they were pretty sure that it was kennel cough, I did not go in for an exam. Kennel cough, like I said, is very bless you. It's very contagious, so unless she developed any severe symptoms or there's anything that I was seriously concerned about with her, I was told not to bring her in. So the vet ended up calling in a prescription of prednisone, a steroid, 10 milligrams to take every single day until gone. There were 7 of these, so she was on a steroid for a full week. He also called in doxycycline, 100 milligrams to take 1 capsule twice a day, so she was on an antibiotic for 10 days. Because I have 2 dogs, they wanted to call in a prescription for both of them, just because the next day was going to be Christmas Eve, then it was going to be Christmas Day, and then it was going to be the weekend, so no one was going to be back until Monday. And my fear was that Koba, my other dog, would end up developing symptoms on Christmas Day when everything was closed and I wouldn't be able to get the medicine for her. So I ended up just getting everything filled for both of them and picking them up just in case I needed it. Thankfully, Koba did not develop any symptoms. I haven't noticed anything at all of her acting like she had kennel cough whatsoever. So I didn't end up needing the prescriptions, but I'm glad that I had it on hand just in case. So the concern with Koba is obviously she was very susceptible to getting it because they were around the same dogs at this Christmas party. Aside from the 2 of them, there were 8 other dogs that were there at the same time as them, and they live together. So everything that Koba touches, Larcy's probably touched a million times and vice versa. However, Koba had received her vaccination for kennel cough more recently than Larcy because she is younger. I was not advised to keep the girls separated, and honestly at that point it wouldn't matter because she would have already been exposed to it anyways, and having to keep 2 dogs separated in the house when they're together 24/7 would have been very difficult. So to build up a timeline for you guys of how quickly this happened, we went to this Christmas party on December 12th and I first noticed symptoms on the 21st. So 9 days later, and I was told that usually it takes 2 to 14 days from exposure before you start to notice any symptoms. Now you can help to prevent kennel cough by getting the vaccination, which both of my girls have all of their vaccinations. However, Larcy was actually due for her next vaccine for kennel cough on December 11th. So she was very slightly overdue for her vaccination, but we did have an appointment on the 29th of December for her annual checkup, which would include that vaccination because that was the soonest that we were able to get into the vet. So because Larcy ended up getting kennel cough, we actually ended up having to reschedule that appointment because we couldn't bring her in with obviously having kennel cough. So we rescheduled her appointment a few weeks out and she will be going to get her annual exam and her new vaccines very soon. It did kind of stink though because the girls always come to Christmas with us to visit our families. Everyone else brings their kids, we bring our kids, and this year they weren't able to go because either A, other dogs live at those houses, or there's going to be other dogs that will be coming to those houses. If your dog does end up getting kennel cough, you will want to make sure that you use a harness instead of a collar on them because you want to reduce as much stress as possible on their throat. When we take the girls out, the girls always go out in a harness, and even still with having a harness on, if Larcy pulled at all, then she started coughing because there was a little bit of strain on her neck. If you do notice this in your dog, just get them checked out right away. Figure out what your veterinarian wants to do because the longer that the cough persists, the more risk there is for complications. You don't want this to develop into anything more serious. Unfortunately, if your dog does develop kennel cough, that does not mean that they are immune to ever getting it again. Kennel cough can just go away on its own, but even when it does go away, even if symptoms stop, you can still be contagious. I've read that you can be contagious for up to 2 months after your symptoms go away. I was told to wait 15 days after symptoms go away before she starts being around other dogs again. I did end up going ahead and washing all their toys and all of their bedding. Even if it couldn't be spread from human to human, I just felt better making sure that everything was clean again. And I did end up contacting the store and letting them know that this had happened. Not to blame them, it is not obviously their fault at all. I just wanted to make them aware of the situation in case any of the other dogs that were there that night may potentially develop the same symptoms as my dog. Obviously, I hope that none of your dogs ever end up going through this, but luckily, hopefully, if they do, it is nothing to be overly concerned about. But it is definitely nice to know what to look out for ahead of time so that if it does arise, you kind of have an idea of what to do and what's going on. As always, thank you guys so much for watching and for being here. If you did find this video helpful, if you enjoyed it, make sure that you give the video a like. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!